Welcome back, family, to Walking in Wisdom. And on this platform, we do everything character analysis through the lens of Nollywood movies. And today's no different. We are coming from an anonymous movie. It does not have a title. I searched, and these are not all of the characters. Clearly, this is not Brother Uzo. This is the handsome brother Anthony Wood. Having said that, the theme gives you an idea of the movie or the title of the movie. So let's listen in. And today we're going to provide you with a few reasons why the word toxic and love do not belong in the same sentence.
Disrespect. So everything is subjected to nothing. What that is. Promises. Stuck with that. Arrogant every time. Disrespect. You are dirty in this toxic love.
And this is exactly what self-reflection and accountability looks like, regardless of how long after you have committed your offense. It's about having a conversation with yourself. Sometimes it's in front of the mirror. Sometimes it's just you talking to yourself, not looking in the mirror. As long as you can clearly see where you went wrong, assume responsibility, be accountable for your actions, and that's the only time you can self-correct and self-check. So again, welcome back to Walking in Wisdom. And on this platform, we do everything character analysis through the lens of Nollywood movies, because I am a Nollywood aficionado. I am also a leadership coach and a really fan of a lot of your faves. But I do believe that in 2026, more than ever, character matters. If we take a glimpse of what's going on in news globally and locally, we have questionable leaders. And when we say questionable, how many times you've had discussion with your family members as to, did you hear what he or she said? And that's because we have questionable leaders, poor in character, therefore ineffective leadership. Now, family, if you want to be able to correct your leaders, it starts with you. It starts with self-leadership. So it starts with you doing the work on you so that you can go grow and glow and beyond in 2026. It really is about a metamorphosis and transformational. It's something that you're intentional about. You don't need anyone to follow up on you because you desire to change. And I find this is primarily so with a man or woman on faith. If you're walking on your faith walk, right? And your goal is to walk the talk, not just be hearers of the word, but be doers of the word. And the goal is to adorn fruit of the Spirit. All of this can be part of our character building when we ask ourselves a tough question. So go ahead and hit subscribe if you desire to join this elite group of 272 subscribers in getting the job done, the privacy of their own home and their own office space, totally free of charge. It's just about doing the work. And today we have more than 80 videos, 270 subscribers. We challenge you to join us if you dare to grow, glow, and to create a level of change. Only you can make that decision. And we will ask you, would you join us? Today we have a few playlists, including real life lessons. So if you have not seen any of these, be sure to view Walking Wisdom after you've finished your favorite movie. And if you'd like us to do a character analysis of your favorite movie, simply ask. And we must give a shout out to our girl, daughter of Zion, Proverbs 31 woman herself. This platform was inspired by no other than the incomparable Sonia Uche, and she's at 1.22 million subscribers and counting. And if you have not seen Colors of Trouble, please be sure to do so. Wonderful movie. And if you have not seen The Driver's Boss, please do so. Wonderful movie. And if you have still have not seen any of our others, please be sure to do so. In 2025, she really brought it, including Clash of Emotions. So we encourage you to please join her in her journey as she is bringing you creative art. And at the same time, she is sending a message along with her colleagues, because we know it takes a team to bring such great production to the forefront free of charge. All you simply have to do is to click on it, view the movie, and enjoy. And we do ask you to fan out and share and let folks know about the great lineup coming from Nollywood, including the great Sonia Uche television. Absolutely. Now we're back to our movie, our nameless movie. We opened up with the end of this movie where Anthony Wood's character screamed and was going through an exercise of self-reflection. That's what it looks like. It could also, again, be in front of the mirror or anywhere else, but it's about you asking yourself those questions and coming to grip with what you have done. That's the only way you could pivot and begin to do the work. Now, the person who you might have hurt, they may not necessarily join you on that journey if the hurt was really hurtful, right? They may not necessarily join you on your journey, and you're going to have to be okay with that because no one wants to stay in a toxic relationship. And when we use the word toxic, this brings us back to the theme song, Toxic Love. And I would contend that there's no such thing as toxic love. It doesn't belong in the same sentence. Let's take a look. This is an example of what happens when you think it's okay to be a bully in a relationship. And what goes around comes around. What you reap, you will sow. Life is like a boomerang, whichever way you want to look at it. This is what can happen. And it can come in so many different ways. If you don't want to be bullied, don't bully. If you don't want to be hurt, don't hurt anyone. And if you don't want to be abused, don't abuse anyone. And that's the way the story goes indeed. Before we get into that area, let's consider some other very important parts in terms of who this man was as a husband, having a beautiful wife and using her as a punching bag. And sometimes that's exactly how it starts. So I would say, family, let's just stop and pause for a second in terms of there's no such thing as toxic love. There's toxic relationships. There are toxic families out there. We do have toxic work environment. I can attest to that. But there's no such thing as toxic love. It doesn't exist because love is kind. Love is gentle. Love is patient. Right? Love does not abuse. Love does not hurt mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. It doesn't exist. So if you were to visit a therapist, a relationship expert, a coach, or a counselor, and someone is going to advise you on toxic love, get a refund and walk out or run out. You do not want to be coached or counseled by someone that thinks that toxic and love belongs in the same sentence. Don't do it, right? Again, you have toxic relationships, toxic workplace, toxic families, but not toxic love. So if you're in a relationship as a teenager, high school, college, and you have not, and you're not engaged, and if this is the type of behavior that you're witnessing, I don't care if it's 7 years, 10 years, do not stay in the relationship. Walk away before you say I do. And if by chance you happen to be engaged and this conduct shows up during your engagement and maybe a week or two before your wedding, you still have chance to walk away. You're better off walking away and putting away that pride. And folks will talk for a few seconds, but at least you would be alive and you would not become a punching bag and you wouldn't lose your confidence as opposed to staying and being prideful. If you're a man or woman of faith, we're called not to have pride. Do not stay in such a relationship because it's not love, it's just toxic. And if by chance this shows up the day after your honeymoon and you do say, I do, again, you're better off leaving early rather than later on. Don't think someone throwing and telling you to shut up in such an aggressive manner will get better before it get worse. It's a whole cycle, and it's definitely going to get worse. The question is to what extent before it gets better indeed. And sometimes it doesn't get better at all. You have to have the moral fortitude and the love of self to walk away because you know that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. Let's consider another part of the movie. In case you missed it, let's do that again.
Why? Like,
As his wife, she's asking him about the phone calls, the secret phone calls, and look at his response.
sorry, I just sorry.
Yeah, that. Mm-mm. No. Okay? Totally unacceptable. And part of the challenge in this movie, you'll come to find out that he lost his job. And because of his own self-confidence and lack of self-worth, not being able to find a job in a very tough economic market, he is really projecting a lot of his indeficiencies and lack of self-confidence and lack of self-love right now, the way he feels onto his wife, right? And sometimes, unfortunately, we hurt the ones we we care about or closest to us, right? Because again, if he's doing it to that extent, it's not love. So, but if you're the closest person to the abuser, you will be abused. Because right now, everyone is the enemy. And this is before he gets into the process. He has to go really, really low to get in the process of self-reflection and understanding what he did and understanding that he is the only one that's responsible and accountable for his actions. So there's also um, another part of the movie because if you have the moral fortitude, while I would say technically it's too fast to find love if you've been in a toxic relationship, we know this is a movie. The point here is love is possible again with the right person. So, and you would know when it's love just based on the smiles, the happiness. She's not sad. Look at the style, the outfit. The person is treating her like a gentleman. Even without the gifts, it would have been a beautiful thing indeed. So love is possible. I don't recommend jumping into another relationship, but love is possible when you heal. So that's important to identify. And coming to an important part of the movie, just as we close out, I would like to share this with you again. What goes around comes around. Now, I'm not going to show you or tell you who set this up, whether it's the wife's new friend, the bestie, or his secret affair person, his own lover. You have to watch the movie to find out, but what goes around comes around indeed. And at the end of this movie is very sad. No one wants to see abuse taking place. But at the end of the day, we must understand that we are indeed responsible and accountable for our own actions. And this was a sad but wonderful movie, very effective movie. And the fact that I just watched it about 20 minutes ago, I thought it was so important just to come out and come on and share with you my thoughts. It's 2026, and those of you who might have celebrated New Year's celebration, even though I don't do it, those of you might have. Just this is a time where everyone feels sad if they don't have a significant other. But you have to learn to love yourself and make room for the right person to come through. And if you're accepting any type of love, quote unquote, as opposed to no love, that's also unacceptable. It shows and it tells someone that you don't value yourself. It tells your abuser you don't value yourself. Again, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. And it's important, according to Romans 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So it starts with understanding who you are and whose you are. And because you're a child of the Most High, you are loved and you're made for a reason with a purpose. So you have value. So don't fall for something is better than nothing. That is absolutely a negative. And to reiterate, there is no such thing as toxic love. You cannot use it in the same sentence. There is love and there's toxicity in relationships, not toxic love. That concludes a very in-depth and emotional character analysis because we know that abuse is happening globally and it's important that you learn to stand up for yourself. Seek help what's needed, and this is just a beautiful lesson. Once again, we encourage you and we say kudos to the wonderful cast. We have Uche Montana playing Iberi, Kachi, Noche playing Malcolm, Anthony Woods playing Boma, and the list goes on. Screenplay by Ani Jr. He's also the executive producer and producer. This was a beautiful movie in terms of lessons learned, understanding that in 2026 is about metamorphosis, it's about loving love, it's about transformation. And you start by loving you and not accepting anything else but just plain, unadulterated love. Family, thank you so much for listening. Once again, if you have not subscribed, we encourage you to please subscribe to Walking in Wisdom. And as always, Shalom.